Shelby Oaks is written and directed by Chris Stuckmann, and it stars Camille Sullivan and Sarah Dern. Welcome back to the Apple Box Chronicles. My name is Peyton Buteau.
And I'm Adryon Thomas.
And today on the ABCs, we are taking you from A to Z on Shelby Oaks. Of course, that was a little reference to Chris Stuckmann and how he starts his videos, because we're both fans, and that's why we're talking about this movie. We both have a bit of a history with Chris Stuckmann as a creator, as a movie critic, and as a YouTuber, and someone that we've both been watching since before we even knew each other. So I'll start with you, Adryon. What do you think of Chris Stuckmann, and how long have you been watching him, and what's your relationship with his videos?
I've always liked Chris Stuckmann. I think it was like probably around 2011 when I started watching his stuff. If I think correctly, that might have been the time. So it's been quite a while. It's been over a decade, 14 years. So I've been watching his stuff for a very long time. I've been supporting him for a very long time. I've gone on and off of watching his reviews. There would be periods in which I just won't watch movie reviews, and then I'll just come back to it. But I've constantly always come back to Chris. And when he did say or announce that he was going to do a movie and he was going to do the Kickstarter, I was immediately one of those supporters. I sent money to him to make this movie, so that's why we were allowed to watch this movie earlier during this backers only screening, and we're able to do this right now. So that's pretty cool.
So there are going to be spoilers in this episode, just in the second half. We'll let you know when we're getting into it, but we're releasing this early before the movie actually comes out. It's just the same reason that maybe it could be beneficial to start your movie critic YouTube channel in 2011, because there's only going to be like 5 other people doing it, and then maybe the pool will be smaller. But I've been watching Chris for a while as well, not as long as you, because I haven't been into movies, I think, on this deep of a level. In fact, I think watching Chris's videos was part of the reason that I got into movies on a deeper level. I mean, he introduced me, maybe not introduced me, but he really, I guess, brought awareness to me about, I guess, the interconnectivity of movies, because I feel like a lot of the time you start off watching movies in a vacuum, and then you start to realize all the ways that these directors connect. You've seen like 3 of their movies, but you don't even recognize that they're from the same person, because they might be different. Or you watch a series and each entry is different, but you're not thinking about, oh, well, who directed this one, and who produced this one, and who wrote this one. And so I think just having that kind of insight, just a little bit behind the curtain, it kind of helps you view how movies are made better. It's on a very basic level. And so I think just being exposed to that as a young person, and it's just so fun to me watching movie reviews. That's why I like making movie reviews. It's like, for some reason, it's just fun to have someone to check in with, to share the excitement of a movie coming out.
Yeah, it is, I guess, fun. I think the only thing about the whole movie reviewer thing is that there's no back and forth, in a sense. I mean, I guess you could comment, but
sure,
there's definitely times where I've seen movie reviewers, not Chris Stuckmann alone, but like others times when they're like reviewing the movie and saying their opinion on it, and it's just like, I just disagree with what they're saying, and it's like, I can't, they're not getting it. No.
I mean, there's a parasocial aspect to it, where you're kind of getting really invested in this other person's opinion.
Yeah.
And if you feel like they're wrong, you're just like, I'm so mad. Or, you agree with everything they say, and then they become like your idol in a way, in the way that they review movies. And then suddenly it's like, whatever this person thinks is what I think. So it can get, there's a danger to it for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I don't assign a lot of stakes to it a lot.
No.
And I just think that is just so fun. Like, what did this person think about this? It can give you good insight, and be a very healthy way of discovering new movies, I think. And I owe a lot to Chris, I think, in a weird way, because I don't think I would be in, I guess you could say, the position I'm in. I'm not like a huge influencer or movie person or anything, but I have achieved some opportunities that I never thought were even possible. And I think that, Chris was part of the reason that I thought, well, I would like to make something like this. I want to make movie reviews of my own, and putting that out there. And then kind of, you start off, he was kind of the template for a lot of people, I think. And so you kind of start off kind of copying the template of guys like him or like Jeremy Jahns or something, and kind of do it the same way. But then eventually you find your own voice in it, and I think that's wonderful. I think he's a pioneer for a certain part of the internet. Like he said at our screening, he's like, now you can throw a rock outside and hit a fucking movie reviewer. But there used to be like nobody doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really cool to see him now getting into filmmaking, because that's always what he said he wanted to do.
Yeah. And I'm excited for him to become more of a filmmaker, because he's changed a lot over the years. I remember when he used to like rate movies and things of that sort, and he doesn't do it anymore, because as a filmmaker you're in that mindset where it's like, oh, this is not actually great, when you're just like saying, especially if you want to be in the film industry, you're just talking shit about another movie. It's not a great look for you. But now all the movies that he reviews these days, he doesn't really give them a rating, but he just kind of gives his own positive opinions on them. Usually he's going to talk about a movie he wants to talk about, that he feels like people should watch, rather than just some movie he doesn't care about, which I think he used to do a lot back in the day, where he would just do all the movies that are coming out.
And there was like Hilariosity, which was like the stuff that was negative. Yeah. And I mean, everyone kind of grows through that. Like, I think that is an arc of a movie lover too. Even someone who maybe doesn't even want to get into the industry, eventually, I think, if you love movies for long enough, you'll realize that the way is to be film positive.
Yeah.
I really think that is the way. I think a lot of people enjoy hating movies. Like, they really... I don't know. There's like a bullying to it. It's weird. Like, I think there's a lot of people that...
Yeah, like your movie sucks.
Yeah, or I mean, like, I'm not a fan of like cinema sins or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I think you might be thinking of I Hate Everything.
Or I Hate Everything.
But I think I Hate Everything likes some stuff.
Oh, sure.
It's just that...
But the negative connotation of being like, oh, these movies are bad, and if you're stupid for liking them, kind of.
Yeah, I guess it's not something that anyone directly says. Obviously, it's just there is a.
Oh, a few of them have said that for sure.
Sure, but I just think it's more of a. There's this kind of. I don't know. I guess there's a pretension. There's a pretension to being curmudgeonly and being like, well, a movie has to hit a certain very high standard for me to actually like it. And I don't know, there is a weirdness to the idea that liking less movies makes you more valuable. And I think
they're also elitist in that way too.
Yeah, well, I just think that's when you break that down to a science, it's weird. It's like,
I think it makes sense. I think it's all psychological in the fact that, because I know so much about movies, obviously, most movies aren't going to be great, because they could only hit a certain, like, threshold in which they could appease to me specifically.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, when you really look at that at face value, it's like, okay, so you love movies so much that you hate most of them.
Yeah, I don't think it's an... Honestly, I don't think they even love movies. I don't think that's the point. I think they're just saying that there's...
I think at a time they did love movies.
Maybe, but if you're going to call your podcast I Hate... or Your Movie Sucks, I don't think you actually love movies. That's my opinion. You don't actually love movies. You just want to say that you know more about movies than you actually do. And you're just putting out all these obvious, like, filler, nitpicky stuff about it, like cinema sins. It's like... No, you're just pointing out all the human flaws of filmmaking, which are inherently the style of the director. And so you're basically just saying that this person's style of filmmaking is not for me. But because it's not for me, it shouldn't be for anybody. And because it's not, I don't think it's for anybody, I think it's bad. And so there's a back and forth between film criticism and whether or not what you're saying is helping out the film community or you're just breaking it down. And that's why I like Chris Stuckmann, because he was never in that breaking down part of the film reviewer scene. He's way more positive, and because he's now a filmmaker, he understands every aspect of what it takes to make a film, and it is absolutely not easy to do. It is one of the hardest things you can do in this entertainment medium, and when you look at other films after making a movie, I think it really clicks with a person and be like, oh, I understand what they were going through, and maybe this doesn't make the film better, but at least I understand why it was in the film.
It makes you more sensitive and I guess even just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. You're more considerate and more forgiving even.
Sure.
Maybe not in the sense that, hey, this enhances my experience, but in the sense of, like, I can see...
This is a personal journey for the filmmaker, and it might not be something that you or I may relate to, but it relates to them, and it relates to the people that also relate to that movie. And so you don't need to bring down that movie just because you don't relate to it.
Yeah, I think it brings more of a personability and more of a relatability to his stuff, too, because it's like, I'm showing you this because it spoke to me. And because it spoke to me, so now you know what speaks to me. There's not a lot of fluff of what doesn't. And then it becomes more like you're getting to know a person as well along with the movie. And I personally think that is one of the big things about movies that I love the most is just the fact that movies teach us that we're not different as we think, that, you know, they let us in on universal experiences, or they just show us through existing and through being made that someone else has gone through something that you've gone through.
Yeah.
Or that someone can conceive of your experience in a way that speaks to you, and it makes you feel like, oh wow, like I'm not this anomaly, you know, to the world. It's a very beautiful thing that happens, so that's why I think, yeah, being film positive is really the way to connect with people as well, not just to enjoy movies to the fullest. So I think Chris is on the right trajectory. I think he's got the right idea. I mean, clearly we both have a lot of respect for him. Not trying to put other people down to lift him up or anything, but it's just that's inspiring to me personally for the way that I like to enjoy movies as well. And it's kind of great because, you know, growing up with his videos, if it felt like, you know, it does feel like you grow to admire and respect this person and the way that they speak about film, and then as that changes, you can kind of gain a new perspective on it as well.
Yeah.
So putting a lot of good out there,
yeah.
But
and I mean, it came back to him when he was able to get with Aaron Kuntz, the producer of the movie, and they started up the Kickstarter. People came and supported the heck out of him, like including myself, and they were able to reach $1.4 million in just the Kickstarter money, which is quite amazing, to be honest. And it was able to have him make the movie he wanted to, and really give it the quality that it needed for the distribution that it's getting as well.
Yeah, distributed by Neon, which is so great because Neon, fantastic at marketing horror films.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could see this being a relative success. And I believe they doubled the budget.
Yeah, Neon helped
for
them,
post.
Yeah, so they could add a bit more stylistic gore and violence to it, just to kind of heighten it up a bit. It's also executively produced by Mike Flanagan and Intrepid Pictures, and I feel like he just kind of came on to just support Chris Stuckmann, because Chris Stuckmann's always been there to support him, and he's interviewed him and met him several times, and so it just kind of makes sense that...
I'm such a huge fan of Mike Flanagan, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing I just want to briefly mention is that Chris introduced me to Mike Flanagan and also widened my view on M. Night Shyamalan, who is my favorite director to this day. So, like, that's super exciting.
Yeah, I remember when Chris Stuckmann used to talk about M. Night, and I always liked that because I felt like everybody else was constantly shitting on M. Night Shyamalan, and I was one of the few people out there that was like, no, he's. I think there's more to him than what people were saying. Yeah, there's a few movies that even I don't love from the guy, but he's still a human being. He's still a guy just wanting to make movies out there. And I remember Chris Stuckmann when he was talking about like meeting M. Night and all that, and it was just very nice to see another like film reviewer actually get supporting a filmmaker like M. Night rather than pulling him down.
Yeah, and I mean, I had seen Sixth Sense on TV, but then, watching when Split came out, he reviewed all the movies, and watching Chris review like Unbreakable and stuff, and then I watched that movie, and I was like, oh wow, this stuff is great. And yeah, there's this idea that I feel like a lot of people get that idea from just the noise. It can happen negatively too, like, you're exposed to all the M. Night haters, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I guess this guy sucks at making movies, and then it all. But if you see someone being like, no, I actually love this, it's like, oh, so this is a thing that can happen. You could actually love these movies genuinely, and then that makes you curious, is like, what do these people see in these movies? That's why I think we should always be honest about the stuff that we like, because that's where value is.
Yeah.
Value is not in trying really hard to like be critical and like have like things to say that are, like, oh, I don't have enough criticisms of this movie, and that's, I just think if we lean more into the feeling that a movie gives you, that's where the value lies. That's where the humanity is.
Yeah, and
instead of just picking it apart.
Yeah, I also think there's kind of a pretty stark difference between classic film critics of the past versus the film reviewers of today, where critics used to look at not just movies that were coming out at the time, but also really analyzing the historic context of films that came out in the past and going into film analysis and really getting to the meat of what these movies mean. Where nowadays movie reviewers are just like, they're watching the biggest blockbusters that come out today, and they're like, oh, I like it because I like the acting, I like the writing, I like how it looks. And it's like, it's a very surface level.
It's very I guess
for the general,
it's kind of vacuous. It's like, you're looking at it as itself, and instead of as it sits in the continuum of film history. Yeah,
and it's more about getting the views in, getting the likes in, getting ahead of everybody and saying, I saw this movie before you guys, and I think it's really good.
And
or,
hey, that
really
does help.
bad.
That's why we're putting this out.
Well, yeah, but there is sort of this facade to it all, where it's not really about the movies, it's about the content.
It's about generating hype, or or just hyperbole.
Yeah, and I feel like Chris Stuckmann, though he is a film reviewer and he's done these stuff before, I think there was always more to that than just like, I'm just doing this for making the content and getting the views, because like we've said, he was one of the first guys to do it out there, and he was doing it for no money for like 2 years, I think he said, before he ever made any money through YouTube. And he just spent his time editing and recording these videos for pretty much for himself, just to put it out there. And he does talk about older movies, and he talks about the movies he really likes, not just the movies that are just coming out. He always does the Halloween special, which is really cool, where he'll talk about scary movies he loves, or Hilariosity, which are movies not considered very good, but he likes them a lot because they're funny to him, and he respects like what they bring to him. And it's a bit more than just saying, oh, Yeah, I saw this movie. It came out today. I'm probably gonna forget it tomorrow, but yeah, it's good. Go see it, guys. And that's another reason why, of all the movie reviewer or critics out there that post on YouTube, he's always been like one of the better ones. He's always been like top tier kind of guy, at least to me.
I agree with that. I would say the same thing. And like, obviously we're putting this out early so that we can have an episode up on it.
But
like,
it's because we literally saw this like almost a month beforehand.
Yes,
and
but
it's
also
because I backed them. I helped pay for the movie.
but also
we get to see it a little early.
But also, we had this in our schedule. We were already gonna we just moved things around.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this movie was, I mean, it's kind of significant to us. It's like this guy we've been watching. This, I mean, you could probably trace it back. The podcast probably doesn't exist without Chris Stuckmann to a degree.
Yeah.
I certainly don't exist without Chris. Okay, so I will say the podcast does not exist without Chris Stuckmann because I pitched this to you.
Yeah.
And I don't exist without Chris Stuckmann. Not like I literally wouldn't have been born, but like I, as a movie online person, I don't exist. And I got to tell him that, and that was so wonderful. Like to be like, hey man, like I'm about to go see him again at Fantastic Fest for another premiere of Shelby Oaks, and like. That doesn't happen without his videos. So it's weird. It's like we, this full circle thing going on. And that's really cool. So we had to talk about this
It's
movie.
almost like how if 9/11 didn't happen, we wouldn't get 50 Shades of Grey.
That is also true. Well, I'll say this too. I mean, we were talking about Chris Stuckmann opening us up to M. Night Shyamalan. I just met M. Night Shyamalan. I don't think that happens if I don't watch Chris Stuckmann either. Like, it's amazing how this dude from Ohio makes movie reviews, and then my dreams come true.
That's the only L about him is that he's from Ohio. Like, God.
Listen, I only know Ohio hate from Ohio hate. Like, I don't really actually know what's supposed to actually suck about Ohio.
Well, I mean, I guess you could visit Ohio and figure it out.
Listen.
I would not recommend
it. Chris, if you're listening to this, we're huge fans.
We're huge fans. We don't push it against you for being Ohioan.
I have nothing against Ohio personally. I just know the internet doesn't like Ohio, but the internet also doesn't like M. Night Shyamalan. So I don't trust what those fuckers say at all. Like,
anyway, we should probably talk about the movie itself.
Yes, Shelby Oaks. Okay, so
spoiler free, just so you know.
Yeah, spoiler free section still. We've been keeping y'all in the dark for long enough. We both like this movie. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go first? General thoughts?
It's good. It's a decent movie. I didn't love it. Honestly, to be honest, I wasn't expecting to love it, but I got exactly what I did expect to get out of it, which is that it's a good horror movie. It's pretty short. It's nice, simple, classic kind of horror tropes in there. You definitely see a lot of the inspirations that Chris Stuckmann has talked about over the years of the types of movies he really likes, and you get to see that a lot in this movie, which is pretty cool. Acting overall pretty great. The movie looks really good for how small of a budget they shot it on, and yeah, that's my general thoughts on it in this spoiler-free kind of part of the pod.
Yeah, I'll say pretty much the same thing, but I would say maybe there's a slight curve just knowing the trajectory of how this came to be. It's just inherently exciting, but I do like the movie. I think that it has solid scares. I like the use of liminal spaces in the movie. I think the atmosphere is cool. I do really like the way he fuses found footage and traditional filmmaking, because when the movie starts, it's found footage, and I thought that it was going to be found footage the whole time for a second, or like it's like documentary style with some found footage in there. But then, there is also some traditional filmmaking, and Chris Stuckmann did an interview with my friend Dan, Blu-ray Dan, and he talked about how he thought it was really fun that, like, sometimes the characters know there's a camera and sometimes they don't. And I think that was a cool way of putting it. Like, it really is interesting to watch, like, the movie start and the characters are talking directly to you, and then you kind of disappear into their lives. And I thought that was all very neat. I just really enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah, I mean, I did too.
It's well paced too.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna add more to this spoiler-free segment. We just wanted to put that, since this is coming out a bit earlier, we didn't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen the movie yet. Okay, so now we're in the spoiler part of the episode where we can just kind of talk about it. And I think one of the coolest things about this movie, I'm going to kind of skip ahead in our notes, is that Robin Bartlett is in this movie, who's an actress who's worked with Spielberg, the Coen brothers, Scorsese. She was in God, what's the movie? I'll remember it later. But she's been in a lot of big movies, and I thought that she was great in this. And she was kind of this creepy old lady in the house. The house very much a cabin in the woods thing, where Sam Raimi, Evil Dead kind of stuff. And this movie just has so many influences. Like, you could see the influences of Sam Raimi. You could see the influences of Lake Mungo, which with the whole found footage documentary type feel going on. Like, it's very present. Also, the Blair Witch Project as well. Ari Aster. And of course, obviously, M. Night Shyamalan, which he has actually mentioned being like a big influence on this movie.
Also, there's this Japanese movie called Noroi, The Curse.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So
I believe it's a found footage film.
I mean, we should watch it at some point.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks kind of scary.
Good.
I love the poster for it. But yeah, the so many influence. Like, you watch the movie and you just see the influence just ooze out of the movie. It's almost impressive how much he could really take on this style and like put it all into this one little movie.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see everything in almost to a fault. I think
that is the biggest fault of the movie, is that it almost feels like there isn't a strong enough voice from Chris Stuckmann himself, and instead it's kind of overdone with all these homages and influences from other movies that he's really loved and talked about over the years.
I think he's starting in a familiar place.
Yeah,
and that's good. I don't really leverage it against, I guess, him. It is a sensible choice to go that route for your first film. I just think this means that there's room for improvement and that his next film is going to be even better, perhaps.
I would hope so. I mean, it needs to be. If it's just another movie where it's just a lot of his influences like just immediately out the gate, then there could be a problem of not exactly knowing what his own voice is, just knowing what he likes. But hopefully that's not going to be the case.
That's something you have to ease into.
Yeah, that is something you have to ease into. But it's also different being that he's a film reviewer turned movie maker, and just knowing who he is as like throughout the years, knowing what his opinions on movies are, and knowing what he likes and what he doesn't like. And so when you watch this movie, knowing all that stuff, it's kind of predictable in that way, because it's almost like this guy in terms of all his movie opinions.
But it also kind of makes me happy. I'm like, oh, look at it. He's playing in the toy box that he likes, in the sandbox that he enjoys.
And I feel like if every filmmaker had like 10 years of putting out content and saying what they like and don't like about movies, you could watch, I don't know, Whiplash and probably see all Damien Chazelle's like influences.
Like, yeah, of course he would make this
Yeah,
movie.
it's like, of course he would make this movie about jazz drummer and all. But obviously we didn't know him when he came out with that movie, and it was kind of like, oh my god, this is great, this is cool, this is new.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris has talked about how you have to like shift your public perception.
Yeah.
And the world sees you as one thing, and now you're trying to be another thing, and that's...
But also for
the trials of that.
The people that don't know who Chris Stuckmann is and who are coming in to see this movie, I'm kind of interested to see how just normal audiences are gonna take it in. If they're gonna really respond to it, or if they're just gonna be like, it's another cliche horror movie.
I actually think that is the most interesting demographic that I want to see in terms of reactions to this movie. And we're not going to get that until it's fully released. Yeah. Because everyone seeing it ahead of time pretty much knows what's up with this. That's going to be really, I think, the true... I bet you that's what Chris is excited about, too. Yeah. Because hearing two guys on a couch be like, we love Chris Stuckmann. We've been watching his videos for like a decade. And yeah, we like this movie. It's like, of course we kind of like this movie. You know what I mean? Like, we know... Again, context is like everything in a movie. If you know, I guess to a degree, like who the director is, and it's kind of a unique case. Like, we know so much about the director before their first film came out. Yeah, and so they're on the scene, but instead of just jumping on the scene and becoming established, it's like you're already established, just not as a director yet. Yeah, and so it's interesting.
Another thing is that because I backed the movie, they gave me a lot of information on the production. Like, throughout the entire production, they were given notes about like what was happening, what part of the production they were at, if they were doing sound, they were doing that, if they're doing the score, if they're editing. There was constantly they were informing us as we went along through the making of this film. So I was constantly like in the loop of how this movie was basically being made to a certain degree. I wasn't there or anything, but it's like knowing, it's like almost being part of making that film. It's kind of weird because you don't get that relationship with any other movie out there.
No, that's very unique.
Yeah. So that was also kind of cool when you're part of a Kickstarter and they're just like, okay, this is what we're doing with your money, which is really cool. And I think they used it really well. I think, like I said, the movie looks really good for what they had, and I was actually quite surprised at how good it looked. Because also going into this movie, because I am who I am, I don't like watching a lot of trailers nowadays, and so even for this movie, which I backed and everything, I didn't even watch a trailer for it. Well, even when they dropped it, I was like, I'm just gonna go in blind, and so I didn't see anything from it. So watching it kind of blind, but only knowing like the production, it was really cool to just see how good the movie looked. I thought it looked great.
It did. It was nice seeing it in a theater, like seeing it in a theater setting. If this had just been posted on YouTube, like he at one point thought he would have to do,
that would have been...
It would have been a shame.
That would have been bad, yeah.
But also, I don't think it would have... It also would not have looked, I think, as good.
Yeah.
If he had to do that, because you wouldn't have had neon doubling that budget.
Yeah, and watching it with basically a full out
house, yeah.
Yeah, and there was a guy right next to me. He did the whole like AMC popcorn thing where it's like, oh,
he did?
Yeah, like right next to me there was a jump scare, and he literally did that, and he dropped popcorn. And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." it was actually really funny.
I was like, at an AMC too.
Yeah, I was like, of all the movies where someone actually did that, it's the Chris Stuckmann movie. It's really funny to think about.
I bet that's like an honor thing. That's an honorable thing.
I just can't believe it actually happened. He's like, and the popcorn goes.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know that actually happened to people. But
no, it's happened to me.
Really?
In 40X.
Well, okay, yeah.
I got flung during F1. It happened twice in the same showing of F1.
Really?
Well, because it happened in the beginning, and then I refilled my popcorn halfway through, and then it had literally sat down first thing.
No.
Dropped half of it.
Oh my god.
I'm
Well,
sorry. I'm sorry to the AMC employee. I tried to clean up as much of it as I could.
I mean, that's 40x for you though. You got to go in for that experience.
Yeah, sorry, Regal.
And another thing about like getting all these production notes, just to go back to that, is like they shot in the Shawshank prison, which is really cool. The prison that they shot for Shawshank Redemption, they shot at the same prison there, and I was notified through Kickstarter that's what they were going to use the money that they got to do, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, like I said, good use of liminal spaces in the movie. It's very abandoned when they show it, and there's also I think a flashback to when there are people in it. That was actually one of my favorite parts, was when they were showing that inmate, and it was like flashing lights and you see his face change. It's like, it was really cool. I loved that part. That's also during the scene with Keith David, who's in the movie.
Yeah, he's in one scene, but honestly, I hear you give the guy like $100 and he'll be in your movie.
But he takes it seriously.
Yeah, he'll do the best that he can for whatever he's doing, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of even big, like even mildly big celebrities will act like complete divas about it. It's like, no, this guy's like, he's just like, he wants to help you out in your movie. And I think that's really cool, even if he just works for one day.
Yeah, then that must have been cool.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the cat from Coraline in your movie is that's awesome.
Yeah, and he's worked with like so many great like John Carpenter, and he's also done voice for video games, like I think Mass Effect. Like he's done so many movies. It's incredible.
I mean, yeah, because he's a working actor. He goes around, does everything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, the lead, Camille Sullivan, I think she's pretty good.
She's really good.
I really think she is pretty good in this movie. Sarah Dern plays her sister, who's missing in the movie. I think she's also does well with what she's got to do in the movie.
Yeah.
The climax itself is when we get kind of that occult, kind of hereditary style thing going on, and there's this creepy cabin that you mentioned, and there's like a basement underneath, and then some freaky shit happening in the attic as well. And there's this demon, and I think it might be the first time we get like a full view of him in the movie. Yeah. It's this, he kind of looks like the Minotaur to me. And I thought that the CGI creatures, I'm assuming that's at least CGI enhanced, looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Incubus, I guess. That's what
it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
It's like Incubus, Succubus. Incubus is like it's like a male demon creature that just basically rapes women. And that's what happens in this movie. This is why this is the spoiler part of the review.
That's why there's also some Rosemary's Baby in there as well.
Yeah, there's some Rosemary's Baby. It's honestly kind of like rough. Like, it's kind of a brutal thing that happens to the sister in this movie.
Absolutely.
It's terrifyingly like awful.
Yeah, there's a scene where we get that reveal and it's in a scrapbook, and you see it's kind of like an Old Boy, like a scrapbook reveal of something just atrocious. Yeah, and this is like, it's like horrific. I actually love that scene
because she's gone for 15 years of being held captive and being forced to have like babies that are consistently dying over the years.
Yeah, it just keeps going
until she finally has a child that actually survives and makes it, and is basically a demon baby.
And and then in the end she tries to kill it, and I think she, it doesn't work out.
It doesn't work. No, the hellhounds get her. Yeah, but
and she falls out of the window, which also reminded me of Hereditary. I'm sorry, by the way. I'm sorry if I'm like drawing these parallels that aren't even there.
Honestly, when I saw that, it reminded me more of the ending of Vertigo.
That's true too.
Because it's like the one person you're trying to save, and then you end up like taking them out.
Yeah, the Hellhounds were real dogs,
which is really cool.
Which is awesome, and I want to ask Chris about that.
Yeah, because even as a first-time director, I know working with animals has got to be difficult.
Yeah.
Like, even thinking about myself, I'm like, man, how would I even direct animals? I don't think I would know how or where to start. I'm sure they have trainers and whatnot on set to help me,
there's like trained dog actors,
but I like the fact that he really challenged himself in working with animals, because I know that could be really hard.
Yeah, and they were well utilized in the film. And then you get this kind of twist ending where the demon, I guess the way I interpreted it was that the demon was using Riley, but really what it wanted ideally was Mia, the other sister that we've been following the whole movie, and at the end she gets taken by the demon. So it's a downer ending.
I love downer. Well, if it's a horror movie, I'm always going to be down with the downer ending rather than the happy ending, because it's a horror movie. You should be horrified by the end of the movie.
Yeah, some horror movies have happy endings, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Or they set up for sequels.
But I mean, I love a good bad ending, or a good not so feel good ending.
Yeah, negative ending, I guess you could say. I just care about what works for the movie.
Yeah.
So I guess, horror, more likely that a downer ending is going to hit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ending of this movie a lot. It surprised me. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought it was going to end on a happy note, and then he really kind of pulled the rug out from that. And I thought it was one of the stronger points. I did think the movie starts off very strong with the cold open, and then there is like the middle chunk is like very investigative, So I think one of my other criticisms with the film is that you're getting a lot of exposition, a lot of things being told about the sister's past and what happened to Riley. You're kind of getting filled in, and I think that comes with the territory of this kind of mystery investigation going on. And then, sometimes that's not counterbalanced a lot with present action. And so you kind of feel like you're being caught up for maybe a little too much of the movie.
Yeah.
But once you kind of get everything clicking into place by the end, you get a really fun climax, and then I think a really solid ending out of it too.
Yeah.
So it was satisfying, but I wonder how it'll play on rewatch, knowing everything.
Exactly. I feel like that's really where this is either gonna make or break the movie, for at least for me, is how well it's gonna hold up on the rewatch, because I am curious to see it again after this first time watching it, because I'm sure there'll be quite a few things that I probably missed that I just didn't catch on the first time around, and hopefully it will kind of make me connect and relate to the characters a bit more, because like you said, like there's, with all the exposition going on and you're kind of being told what's happening and what has happened, you don't really get as intimate or close to the characters as I would like.
Yeah, there is a bit of a stoicism to Mia as well, because she's clearly been through a lot, and I guess I don't even want to say a stoicism, because we do see her break down quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's just that
we just never get.
I guess she's very convicted in her cause.
Also, the husband character was just kind of there. He wasn't. There were parts where it's like, he's kind of a shitty husband, but there's also parts where it's like, I kind of understand where he's coming from, I guess.
Yeah,
but I think it's not really adding or taking away anything. He's just kind of there just to be there, which is another.
Well, I think some audience members are going to align with him, and some might choose to believe in what Mia's saying.
Yeah, but
maybe it doesn't do a sturdy enough job of building both case equally.
Yeah,
because it's a movie, so obviously there's going to be the intrigue.
Yeah, like for instance in what is it, Smile?
Smile, yes.
where it's like the husband is like,
the guy
he's
from
like
The Boys.
so supportive, like in the first half, and then at a certain point he's like, I can't do it anymore, and that's what's really brutal about that moment in the movie. Whereas in this movie, you never feel like he's even that supportive at the beginning.
Kind of feels like he's going along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to a degree in Smile that's true, but I think you just get more runway with that character.
Yeah.
Whereas in this film, that character is just rather peripheral to the script. He's not really.
Yeah,
he's not really central at all.
It's almost like you really don't even need him. Like, you could have taken his stuff out and it would have been fine, and you could have had maybe another like character, like a friend, or
maybe there is a husband, but like they got divorced because of it before the movie started, and that. Yeah.
But I mean, it's all,
you kind of see how he's still trying to be a friend to her. I don't know.
It is part of that kind of cliche moment that Chris is kind of using in a lot of this film, where he'll use the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of method, where it lends itself to that story and to that type of scenario, I guess. And it's like, yeah, that is what I guess a husband going through this stuff would say and do.
Yeah. But I do really enjoy this film, I think, and like I said, it is going to be a make it or break it on the second watch sort of thing. I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah. But we should also mention how this movie kind of came about in terms of like the whole psychology of who Chris Stuckmann is.
Oh yeah, of course. This is something he talked about at the Q&A, that in retrospect, as he was editing the movie, he found that the story was subconsciously probably tied to his history being raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And when his sister left the faith, they practiced shunning, and they basically said she was spiritually dead. He was not permitted to have any contact with her or know anything about her. So, he wrote this character that was like, everyone thinks my sister is dead, but I just don't think so. Yeah. And he didn't talk to his sister for 17 years.
I remember when he said that, and the audience was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
That's like a whole childhood.
Yeah, it's like me not ever, like, I have a sister who's like around, she's not 17 yet, but she's around that age. She's a teenager, but just imagine like never knowing that she's there, that she's out, but never ever like meeting her at any point in her life. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
To think about.
I mean, in this movie, like you said, the sister's missing for like 15 years, so pretty similar time frame too. So that's just what's great about film is you draw from these things in your subconscious you might not even know you're drawing from, just because of the way that you're programmed, the way that the experiences you've had, and then someone else out there who's maybe going through something that Chris went through could watch this movie and probably find some comfort in it. Yeah. And I think that that's great, and that's one of the most powerful things that art can do for a person. So yeah, this movie has that personal angle that I always appreciate.
Yeah, I really am so curious as to see like what he's gonna do with his next movie.
I think if he leans more into that, from a conception, to write something that's truly personal, because I mean that background is
there's a lot to get from that.
There's a lot to draw from. I mean, I'm sure that's not maybe all he's interested in making. Yeah. But I do think a more, I guess, directly personal piece from him would be fascinating to me, and I also just want to say we did meet him and we did talk to him. Very nice guy. Yeah. Just as we expected.
Yeah, he was great. He's really tall.
Talks to everybody.
Anybody who wanted to talk to him like got a chance to talk to him, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I actually had access to a poster for Shelby Oaks because of my job, and he signed it for me. Yeah, and that was super nice. I loved that.
He was excited that you had it.
Yeah,
he was like, "Holy crap!" And he knew that you had like the silver Sharpie too. He's like, "You have one of those?" Oh yeah, you do.
Well, that's because, and it all clicks into place too, because the only reason I had that autograph marker is because I just met M. Night Shyamalan, and I brought my trap poster from my bedroom all the way to New York City in a tube.
He was there too, a week before you were there.
He was, Chris was there, but he wasn't there on the same days as me.
Yeah.
But when I met M. Night, I pulled it out, and I was like, this is from my bedroom in Texas. And he was literally, M. Night, this is what he said. He goes, "Oh my God, bro."
I could see.
I have it on video. I have the interaction on video. My uncle filmed the whole thing of me talking to him, and I should have given him the silver marker, but I gave him the gold one. They're both supposed to appear on black, but the trap poster that I gave him, it's almost all black, and I wanted it. I was like, okay, but if I writes it in silver or gold, it'll show up, and it does show up, but you kind of have to look at it in a certain.
You have to really squint and
you have to look. It's right by my bed. If you sit on the corner of my bed and look at it, the light hits it perfectly, and it looks great. But you kind of, from far away, you can't really tell it's there. And that kind of pisses me off.
It's
oh, man.
Edward Cullen says, right light to make a glitter and show up.
But it's kind of cool. It's there's a twist.
Yeah.
You go up to the poster, you're like, oh. Sorry, that's so stupid.
I also just wanted to mention, a few critic turned filmmakers as well. We kind of talked a little bit about it earlier and kind of the differences between the two, but a lot of the critic turned filmmakers that we know of today are people like Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver and directed movies like First Reformed, and why am I blanking on American Gigolo, movies of that that.
Yeah, First Mishima.
Mishima, yeah. And then you had the French New Wave guys like Jean-Luc Godard, Francois Truffaut, Eric Romer. They were all part of those French film critics they really just wanted to push the medium outside of the boring studio kind of movies that were coming out of the 50s and
they were breaking
60s.
All the rules.
Yeah. They they were just cutting should not be limited to just person going from place to place to place. You could jump cut, and that could be really cool. But then there was also American critics like Peter Bogdanovich and Jay Cox, who Peter Bogdanovich was really into Orson Welles and Howard Hawks, John Ford, those guys, and he went on to do the last Picture Show, great stuff, and other movies after that. And you kind of see with these filmmakers that they're not necessarily influenced directly from the people that they were writing film reviews and film analyses for, and they were instead trying to push into a direction based in the stuff that they were looking at. For instance, Paul Schrader was really into Bresson and Ozu and Dreyer, all these silent film kind of director periods where they were into silent film and they kind of went into talkies, but they had a very specific style and how they use their characters, and the way that he would then make his movies is to kind of translate the characters and spread it out towards how the movie is being portrayed. So, for instance, in Taxi Driver, you got Travis Bickle. You have such a guy that's so lonely and is very outside of the societal norm, and he branches out the movie through his character and trying to figure out how the environment of the character kind of portrays differently with each character. And like in Taxi Driver, New York is very scummy and very dark and gloomy, but that's all through the lens of Travis Bickle, rather than the reality that New York could be a lot of things. It's not just scummy and dark and gloomy. The same with American Gigolo. You get Richard Gere, who's this male prostitute with this glamorous kind of life where it's like where he's living this really good life where he gets to be paid a lot of money to have sex with women, and you kind of see it through his like lens of how the environment is very much of his own, but deep down as the movie goes along, it gets a lot darker, and that's how like he was pushing those types of movies. And Peter Bogdanovich, he was kind of pushing movies in a more classic way, but also centering it really on the characters of the films that he was making. And the French New Wave, they were more changing not just the style but the form itself of filmmaking, and how you could cut a film, how characters could just I don't know, how they take up the space of the film that they're in, and how you could just like change. They were doing a lot of different stuff. They were a lot of guerrilla filmmaking, a lot of shooting out on the streets and without permits, stuff like that. But it was just really getting to the core of like, I think the story that they're trying to tell through the unorthodox methods of the way that they're filming. It's like saying you could still tell a story that you could understand and comprehend even through unorthodox methods that films of the American like 40s and 50s, they were very, very clinical, I guess, in the way that they were making movies. It was very, you got to do this, this, and this to make the movie work. And the French New Wave was more like, you don't got to do that. You don't got to follow the rules to still make the film work. And that's what they were doing. Now, what's interesting about Chris Stuckmann is that because he's not a film historian necessarily, or to say, and he's more interested in more genre-focused films like horror movies, and especially, as you can see with Shelby Oaks, his influences are very strong in the film, but it also doesn't seem like he's trying to move it anywhere. He's not trying to change up anything. He's really relying on the cliches of horror to make his movie work. And I think that's kind of the difference between critics of who have turned filmmakers today versus back then.
I also think that was a fantastic little history lesson. Just such a great. I was like fascinated by what you're saying, but I want to say that I think that there is a huge difference because of the internet.
Yes, and the fact that like we talked about earlier, the film reviewers of today, they're only really talking about the movies coming out today, and like putting out their opinions like quick and fast and now,
Hey man,
rather than talking
not too much on me though.
rather than looking back at the history of film and comparing it to the films of today, and kind of contrasting and seeing, are we going into a better direction of film, or are we reverting back to an older standard?
I think Chris has actually done a good job of that as well too. Though he's been like, there's just been a lot of moments I can remember him being like, I haven't seen a movie like this in a while.
Yeah.
Taking that approach, and I think there is such an importance to what a critic does, in terms of analyzing not just like the movie and being like, hey, this is what works about this movie, this is what doesn't, and this is what I like about it, and this is what I don't like about it. But no, being like, this is a great example of how we're moving and what the state of film is and what this means for movies. And even to the point of being like, hey, I think this movie is actually dangerous. Yeah. Or, hey, I think this movie is a huge win for cinema. Just the success of this movie. Things of that nature, really putting your finger on the pulse of like how the world is moving through film. That is the function, the greatest function, I think, of a film critic and a film journalist. Today, especially today, it's very important because they're kind of under threat. There's a lot of publications that are getting rid of their film critics. They don't see it as important or as essential anymore as something else.
I think there's two things about that. First is that I don't think it's becoming important anymore because of how structured the criticism is around social media and getting likes and getting views, and it's not putting any importance on the film itself, on how it's made and what it takes from films of the past. A lot of the film critics of today are film reviewers, a lot of the newer ones and ones who haven't been around since before the internet. They don't understand that, you know, when they used to talk about movies, it wasn't just the superficial, the surface level kind of stuff. They were digging deep into singular films. Who made it? What was the production like? Who are they influenced by? What are they doing differently than everybody else? They were going through like so many different ways to analyze the films that were coming out.
They were doing the trap thing on all of them.
Yeah. And nowadays it's so surface level that I could almost understand why these publications are taking them off, because it's like you're just saying stuff that everybody else is saying. You're not saying anything different than anybody else, and you're not adding to the discussion.
Right. So there's a blame to, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, overall you think maybe just like a lot of the world has lost the perspective on what is great, what makes a film critic very great and valuable. Even to a degree, there is film critics who have lost that.
Yeah.
And also, it's interesting when you throw, I guess, people like me into the mix of like people who are like, you know, ostensibly influencers that are going and reviewing movies, and then you're gonna get hit with, and I know this from experience, a lot of people are going to come at you, hey, review this movie, hey, review that movie, or like, we'll let you see this movie early if you post this, or we'll let you go do this if you post this. And I'm grateful for all that. I think a lot of great opportunities have come my way, and I like, some of them I don't take and some of them I do, and I'm just like, I'm lucky to have any, but I do think there's a degree of like, where people in my space are used as they're marketing more than anything. They're not reviewers. They're
marketers.
They're even like, and it sucks because you can really start with the intent to be a reviewer and to really add something and have something to say about movies, and then you get coerced or you get kind of tempted into like, oh, but I get all this free stuff if I market this movie that I don't care about, and I mean, there's a balance, I think. But, I mean, that's why, for example, I got sent a screener for a movie called Primitive War that we were talking about it, and I was like, it looks not good to me. But it kind of looks interesting, maybe. Maybe it is. And then, some friends saw it, and they were like, oh, it's good. And I'm happy for them if they liked it. I thought the movie was quite simply, like, awful.
Yeah, it was substanceless.
Yeah, and I saw it pretty late in the game. It had already been out in theaters and stuff, but they were like, we still have a screener, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And again, no hate to the people sending me the screener. Like, it's awesome that they do that, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or not take it for granted at all. Yeah. But I'm always going to give my honest opinion on the movie.
Yeah,
like I cannot have it be sweetened by, oh, but I saw it for free at home. I can't do that. That's not going to happen with me. And I just think it can be, there's so many like amazing people that contribute a lot of great stuff, even on TikTok or Instagram Reels or, whatever platform they find themselves having the best access to. There's so much value that I think, because everybody has a perspective that's unique, and I just think that there's there's a level of, I guess, you can become a studio mouthpiece at a certain point.
Yeah.
And it's hard to,
It's not hard
sometimes
not
it
to be
sneaks
that,
up
yeah.
on you. You got to be careful.
Yeah. I mean, shit, that's capitalism right there.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we get our movie out there fastest? Let's get a few of these critics to talk positively about it. Which is, you know, it's been going on for years now. This is not something that's new. Like, studios have been doing this for a while, but
Yeah,
you kind of see it happening a lot more often.
It's
than
never
usual.
been this, this massive, and it's so like snappy too, because you'll get, and then people who are actually genuinely contributing to the conversation and do love the movie get a chance to promote it, and then they get shit on because they're like, oh, it was a paid ad. It's obviously a terrible movie because, like,
Yeah.
no, maybe they actually did like the movie, and that's why they took the paid ad. There's a lot of people with a lot of integrity that do that. Or there's a thing on TikTok, if you post a review of a movie and it's positive because you loved the movie, the studio will sometimes reach out to you and say, hey, can we sponsor your video so that we can push it out more and use it on our page too, and like get some traction because we like what you said. And then once that sponsored tag hits your video, you're getting hate comments. You're getting people being like, oh, so you were paid to like this movie. And it's like, no, I didn't even know I was getting anything out of this until I said what I said already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of rough for everybody involved. It's kind of
quite
difficult.
the double-edged sword. It kind of hurts everybody in that way. But I mean, it's hard to figure out how to fix this and how to change the social aspect of it. I think if these publications want film criticism and film journalism and reviews to work, they have to be sincere about it. They have to actually be passionate about like what they're writing about, and they can't just do the oh, this is popular and trendy and cheeky. Like you'll see a lot recently. I've been seeing these journalists or these interviewers like talk to the actors or directors, and they're just asking some of like the stupidest things I've ever heard.
Superfluous fucking
like
questions.
It's like, what does this have to do with the movie? What does it have to do with the director, the actor? It's just unnecessary fluff when you could be talking about the movie itself.
Yeah, perfect example is I just saw a clip from the premiere at the Chinese theater of One Battle After Another, upcoming Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Mm-hmm. Looks so good. Chase Infinity, young actress, first role is in that film. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to be exceptional. My theory from the trailer is that she's going to blow everybody away. And obviously DiCaprio's in the movie, so that's great. But it's like she's going to be the hidden gem of that movie. I think people are going to go in, they're going to be like, oh, I was blown away by her performance. That's just my theory. There's something
it already looks like she might be great in it.
Yeah, and but anyway, she was at the red carpet and somebody goes, well, what was it like to call Leonardo DiCaprio daddy because she plays his daughter? It was something to that effect. What the fuck kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane to me. That's... And she handled it pretty well. She was like, not something I thought I would do.
Yeah.
And it's true, because she's 25. That's usually the age where people stop doing that.
That's crazy to say. That's pretty funny. But yeah, there's so many journalists or interviewers out there that are just they're not even taking their job seriously, and it's like people are wondering why they're not hiring more like people to do this kind of stuff. It's because I don't know if they're even like if they want to do that or ask these questions, or if they're told that they need to. But I think all these magazines and publications and websites need to actually like lock in, hunker down, and like take this stuff seriously, or we're gonna lose it forever.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's seriously like if we take this for granted, they will snatch that shit up.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be AI. It's gonna be bad.
In a way, it's like almost like a capitalistic censorship, because now we're not talking about movies, and we're not talking about what the movies mean and what's actually being said through the movies. And instead, we're getting no discussion about them, and we're losing the point of these films. And when we lose the point of the films, then we lose the money, we lose the support, and we lose the studios wanting to make more risky and intimate and personal films, and they'll of course go for the big blockbusters that everybody's going to talk about.
And then the
it's
world
gonna be
stays
so
the
trendy. Same. It's going to be the same, but also worse, because there's going to be no support for any of these smaller films that actually have something to say.
Exactly. And I think that is why you should go see Twinless, directed by James Sweeney. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, Twinless is great, yeah.
Yeah, Twinless is great. I just thought I'd mention that. I just saw it.
Yeah. But Shelby Oaks, give it a watch. I mean, I don't think this is going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to love it, but I don't think everybody's gonna hate it either. Like it's a really nice, easy film to just kind of go to, and I hope people support it, because I want to see Chris Stuckmann do more stuff. Like this is a really good, almost like portfolio for what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, and I think that this is gonna be hopefully the start of a great career for him as a filmmaker. And, hopefully he gets to work with Neon again and all this stuff. So, again, I'm going to echo what you said. Yeah, go support the movie in the theater. Go see it. Yeah, not everyone's going to love it. But I also think that the midnight horror crowd is just going to is going to at least enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, again, we're curious as to how people who aren't familiar with Chris are going to receive the movie. And maybe it'll be beloved.
I hope it gets, like, that little cult following.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it going either way, but I really do hope for the best for this movie. I think Chris is talented. He's clearly, like, just oozing with passion for movies and making films. And, I mean, this is something that you see he fucking pulled it off. He did the thing. And it's like a lot of people don't do the thing. And there's a lot of people who probably don't get this far. So, and it took a long time and a very, I guess you could say, atypical journey to get there.
He's had his highs and his lows. There were times when, man, it was looking bad for him. Like there was a bunch of bullying happening towards him and his family, but they got through that, and that was really interesting to see. And the fact that he got this film pretty much produced by his fans through Kickstarter is really cool. It just shows how supportive all these people are for him.
And then he got that recognition from Neon and from Mike Flanagan and everything. It was great. I'm so glad this worked out in the way that it did. Yeah, I mean, the highs and lows, it kind of comes with the internet.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody goes through an internet journey like that and comes out unscathed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our thoughts on Shelby Oaks, and I guess a lot of other shit that we talked about, as always. Thank you so much for listening. We upload episodes every Monday, so stay tuned. And like I said, watch this movie.
Yeah, support it.
I guess if we want to ask questions for you guys to leave comments, who's your favorite online film critic?
Yeah.
Like, who's the one that you follow that you feel the most inspired by, or that's given you the most perspective, that you're most excited to check out their point of view? Big fan of, personally, me, Adrian Thomas, Applebox Chronicles, best one. No.
Well, thanks.
I guess Chris Stuckmann's always been my guy. I think... I can't... Why am I blanking right now? I'm a big fan of my friend Kit Laser.
Kit Laser's great. Kit Laser, I know you've never met me, but you've met Peyton a lot of times, and I don't know. I think you're really good with what you say. Like, you're so positive.
Yeah, I think he's awesome. That guy is so nice, truly. Like, I've met him in person a few times. I'm seeing him again next week, so excited for that. Yeah.
Dan Murrell is one
Dan
of my
Murrell. Dan
favorite.
Murrell. That's who I was. That's who I had some. I was like, there's someone else on YouTube. Yes, I love Dan Murrell.
If you're into like the statistics and the financial aspects of filmmaking, he's the one to go to. Like he'll talk about all the budget stuff and the box office stuff and all that kind of mathy fun things that people love to like just look at. Oh, is it gonna make its money back? Personally, I don't really care that much. I just hope the film makes enough for the filmmaker to be satisfied and to make another film. But he gets really nitty gritty into like the details of how these films are getting produced and made. And I also agree with a lot of his opinions on films. I don't agree with everything, but most of it, yeah. And Jeremy Jahns was one that I used to watch all the time. I still watch every once in a while. I think he's gone in a bit of a direction I don't really like.
Although stylistically, he really has remained super.
He's remained so consistent throughout the years, yeah. But yeah, a little bit of a political leaning that I'm not a fan of. But you know what? He doesn't always talk politics in his movies, so it doesn't. It's whatever. But yeah, tell us who your favorite film critic is, or film reviewer, or historian, whatever it may be.
And I guess just what's your favorite horror movie this year? Fuck it. Let us know what you think of this movie. If you listened all the way through, you probably saw it. So yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. I've been Peyton.
And I've been Adryon.
And you can click right here to get chronicled. We'll see you next time on the Apple Box.